A Roth IRA is the best account that will make you a millionaire, but no one tells you how it actually works. Everybody just listens to these gurus telling you to open a Roth IRA, but no one conceptually understands how it actually works. What are the limitations, and what are all the loopholes that you can use for your benefit? Imagine this: you invest your money for years, you watch it grow, and you finally go to take it out, and you pay zero taxes on it. Not reduced taxes, not a little less, zero. And it's not some secret loophole that only rich people know about. It's literally what a Roth IRA is. And it's just crazy to me how most people don't even know about it, or they just completely ignore it in all. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what a Roth IRA is, how it works, why it's so powerful, and why it might be the closest thing to a financial cheat code that you can actually use. And let's start off simple because there's two types of IRAs. There's traditional IRA and then a Roth IRA. A traditional IRA is very similar to a 401k in the sense that you put money in that has not been taxed yet, and when you pull it out in 30 years, you will get taxed then. Because when you put that money into the account, when you pay your taxes at the end of the year, you don't need to pay taxes on the amount that you contributed to this account. So basically, if you made $100,000 last year and you contributed $7,500 into a traditional IRA, when you go to pay your taxes at the end of the year, your taxes will say that you made $92,500 instead of $100,000 because that $7,500 you don't pay taxes on. And a Roth IRA, which we'll be talking about today because I think it is very powerful at a younger age. This IRA account taxes you when you put the money in. So at the end of the year when you pay your taxes, you still pay that $7,500, but when you pull it out in 30 years, you don't pay any taxes on it. And both IRAs are just investment accounts, that's it. They're not no sketchy stock or scheme that you're putting your money into, it's just a brokerage account backed by the government. But what makes them so much better than a regular brokerage account is how they're taxed. And if you want to figure out which retirement account fits you better personally, there's a bunch of calculators and charts online that you can look up to see specifically which account you should open based on your tax bracket and your income. But typically for a lot of younger people that are just starting their career and they're not making as much money as they will when they're, say, 45 or 50, a Roth IRA is a no-brainer. It's the account you should open. And opening a Roth IRA is very easy and almost anyone can do it. The only requirements that you have to meet is have an income and need to be over the age of 21. If you're not over the age of 21, your parents can open a custodial account for you, and it works the exact same way, but the limit is lower, around $3,000 instead of $7,000. And the second you turn 21, the account gets transferred over to your name and you have full control over it. So if that's an option for you and your parents are okay with that, I would look into that, because that would put you way ahead of everybody else. But if you're above 21 and you have an income, then opening a Roth IRA is extremely easy. The first step, if you don't already have a brokerage account, is to choose what brokerage company you want to use. Me personally, I use Fidelity. I know some people that use M1 Finance or Vanguard. I know Charles Schwab is a good one. And one that I would try to stay away from would be Robinhood. And this is kind of ironic because this is where I started investing. But I just feel like the platform itself doesn't really promote long-term wealth. It kind of promotes this get-rich-quick kind of persona. And I say this because whenever I open the app or go on the website, it's always promoting some hype stock like gold or silver or Bitcoin or meme coin. And that's just not the way you build wealth. That's the way you try to get people onto your app so they start spending money and you make money. And that's exactly what Robinhood is doing. And I'm not saying Robinhood's a bad platform. It's going to do the same thing if you don't fall into these traps that it plants. But I would suggest switching to a more trusted and long-term wealth-based platform instead. And once you create a brokerage account on whatever brokerage company you chose, and within that account, it will give you options on what accounts you want to open, whether that be a Roth IRA or a regular brokerage account. And it's really that easy. All you got to do is just start investing into it after that point. Or set up automatic contributions so you don't even have to worry about it. You just let it go in the background. You just have to make sure that you're investing consistently, and then this is where compounding comes in and does a lot of the work. And because my audience is probably a lot younger, around 20, this is the perfect age to start because your money has more time to grow, and time is everything when it comes to compounding. And here's a chart I found online showing how starting earlier can make a big difference by compounding. And as you can see, this is an extreme example because this person started at the age of 15 with their parents' help. But when they're able to pull out the money tax-free with no penalties, at the age of 65, they're looking at $2.3 million. Compared to someone that starts at the age of 25, they're looking at $1.4 million, which is $1 million less just for starting 10 years later. And the person that starts at the age of 35 is about $1.6 million behind the person that started at 15. And the person that starts at the age of 45 is around $2 million behind the person that started at 15. So you could really see how the compounding adds up as it has like the most time to develop. And think about that for a second. You can invest for 30 to 40 years, turn your money into hundreds of thousands, even millions, and the government takes nothing at the end of it. And this is why a lot of financial people call it a cheat code, because you're literally cheating the system, but legally. And here's another example of someone that doesn't want to invest $7,500 a year, or they can't. If you were to just invest $500 a month starting at the age of 20, with an average yearly return of 8%, because that's what the annual return is for the S&P 500. And when I say annual return of 8% per year, I'm talking about the average of all these years that you'll be investing. Some years you'll be up 15%, some years you'll be up 18%, some years you'll only be up 3%, you might be down 5%, but over the last 100 years of the S&P 500, it has not dropped and never recovered, as you can see on this chart right here. And this chart is showing us the time frame from the 1920s to present time. And you can see the Great Depression all the way on the left in 1930, and that's considered the biggest recession of the S&P 500's history, and it still recovered. Okay, back to investing $500 a month starting at the age of 20. If you were to do that, around 60 years old, you would have $1.5 million. Now imagine you're pulling that money out and you're not paying a single dollar in taxes. That's the power of this account. And here's where a lot of people mess up and lose out on a lot of money, because just opening a Roth IRA doesn't automatically make you money. A Roth IRA is just a container, and inside of that account, you actually have to invest your money. And if you put that money in there and let it sit without investing it, because then you're doing nothing, don't make the mistake that most people do and forget to invest your contributions. So what I invest in personally in my own Roth IRA every year to max it out is the S&P 500 index fund called VU, which is Vanguard's version of the S&P 500 index fund. And there's multiple ones out there, but I just chose this one because it has low fees and low rates. And I have mine set up for automatic contributions, so I don't have to go into the app and actually do anything. And I set it up to put in a portion of my income the day after I get paid, so I can cash my check and then the money just gets taken out and I barely notice it. And you can definitely invest your money into individual stocks, but if I were to be honest with you guys, I really don't see a point in this, because you're going to let this money sit until you're 59 and a half, which is probably around 30 years from now. So me personally, I don't see a point in doing this. The S&P 500 is going to compound nicely anyways, and it's just 10 times easier and cleaner because you don't have to manage anything. Now here's a few rules that you need to know about the Roth IRA before you start investing in it, just to know. Obviously, you can't just dump unlimited money into this. There's a yearly limit, which is $7,500 per year in the year of 2026 for anyone that's under the age of 50. If you're over the age of 50, you can invest $8,600 as a catch-up mechanism. If you were able to just dump a bunch of money into this account and pull it out tax-free, then it would be way too powerful, so they know that and they had to nerf it. Another thing that's very important to know is that you have to wait until you're 59 and a half before pulling out any of your earnings, unless you want to be hit with taxes and penalty fees. But this is only for the unrealized gains, which basically means if you had $500 in a brokerage account and you get a 10% return, then you'd have $550 in there. 500 of that is contributions and 50 is unrealized gains. So this means that those contributions can get pulled out at any time without any penalties or fees, which is very nice because it's not locked away like a 401k is. And the last limitation that I'm going to mention is eventually when you start making more money and your pre-tax income surpasses $168,000 a year, you are no longer able to contribute to the Roth IRA because it would be too powerful. So who is this account perfect for? The account is especially powerful if you're young because you have a lot of time to let the compounding do its thing. And you're probably in a lower tax bracket right now, so paying the taxes now on the money when you're in a lower tax bracket instead of paying the money later when you're making much more in a higher tax bracket is pretty much a no-brainer. And a lot of people think you need a lot of money to start, but in reality, you could start with almost nothing. You really don't need to max out the Roth IRA for the first couple of years, but just investing in it at all is better than most people. And remember, you're capped at $7,500 every year, so you want to try to max it out because you can't go back and contribute to a previous year that has already passed. But you do have till April 15th the next year to pay your previous year. But you don't want to miss out on opportunity, so try to max it out if you can. Because if you were to invest $7,500 a year for the next 40 years, starting at the age of 20, after all of that time maxing it out every year, your contributions would almost be $300,000. But the total of the whole account would be at $1.9 million. So $1.6 million in profit, and it's all tax-free. But if you were to miss out on the first 5 years, because remember, those are the years that are going to get hit most by the compounding, and you start at the age of 25 instead of 20, you would miss out on $700,000, and the total of the account would be $1.25 million. 5 years of $7,500 in contributions, $37,000, and you'd miss out on $700,000 for not putting in $30,000. So starting earlier and consistently investing is very important. And that brings me to another point. Don't try to time the market. A lot of people mess up because they try to wait for that perfect moment, but that perfect moment is never coming. You're never going to wake up and just want to invest. You need to invest consistently. Remember, time in the market beats timing the market every single time. And most people don't invest to a Roth IRA because they either don't know about it, they think investing is too complicated, or they just keep putting it off. But as the years go by, you're missing out on a lot of money. And once you understand that, you start to realize that it's not some secret. It's just something that a lot of people choose to ignore, and the people who do use it are building wealth quietly in the background. And at the end of the day, a Roth IRA isn't going to make you rich overnight, but over time you can completely change your financial future. And the earlier you start, the more powerful it becomes. So if this video helped you understand Roth IRAs a little bit more, drop a like. It really helps out. And if you already started a Roth IRA or you're thinking about starting one, drop a comment. I'd really like to hear where you guys are at. And that's it for me today. Peace.